Hello everyone, welcome to the session. And today we are going to learn like how to traverse a tuple. And there are many other ways, like many ways to traverse the tuple. Basically, using the range, using the range and combination of length, using slicing, that is known as partial traversal, using the positive index, using the negative index. We can actually do the traversal. Same like list, we can actually use for loop. We can use like while loop to traverse the tuple basically. And tuple can contain like as I have discussed, like as I have discussed on tuple creation and definition. You can actually create the tuple with homogeneous items and create the tuple using heterogeneous items. uh, you can create a nested tuple. You can actually create a tuple with different type of elements as well. Okay, tuple can contain like a combination of elements too. So let us get started and like understand how to traverse a particular tuple. Now I'm just going here in PyCharm and then creating the file. I can file over here and then here I'm just giving uh, tuple, let's say traverse.py. Okay, so now here you go. So this is the program. I'm just giving like that. Let's say tuple one. I have all the country names. For example, let's say India. Not all. Maybe 5 or 10. We can specify. Let's say USA, and then here I have France, then Australia, and then UK. Okay, so now I have a tuple where I have like 5 elements, and all of them are actually strings. So I've just well aligned it as per the ID requirement. But yeah, you can or cannot give space. That is going to work as well. Now let us traverse using for loop. Like for let's say I'm giving like my country name in directly. I'm just giving tuple one and here you go, and then I'm just using a print statement. Print welcome, welcome to, then followed by the cn. That's it. And then once you're actually running this program, you can see it is actually printing welcome to India, US, France, Australia, and UK. Only difference here is the moon bracket or the round brackets, and if we put it in the square brackets, then it will become like a list. So this is like how you can actually traverse using a for loop. Now, if you want to actually traverse using like no range, basically the index, then what you can actually do here is you can definitely specify uh, the index here. Let's say, for example, I'm just giving for I in a range of, here I can specify length of tuple one, and then we can specify uh, here like on the tuple one of index value is nothing but I. Okay, so instead of I, you can actually give like index something like this, and you can also like specify index here as well. It's going to work. Okay, so you can actually give I or index or any variable, it is going to work fine. So now I've just given like for index in a range of, then a range of length and just specifying like here to get the length of the tuple. Basically, length is going to help you to get the length of a tuple, list, string. You can actually get the length of a dictionary too, and you can also get the length of like the set as well. Okay, so now this is how you can actually iterate. Let us see how it is actually going to work. Okay, I'm just going to change the message. Hey, uh, hey Subbu, welcome to. Then I can specify like this. Okay, so now here you can see the message. It is actually working fine. Hey Subbu, welcome to India, US, France, Australia, and UK. It does the same thing. Only thing is whenever the requirement is to uh, using a range, you can definitely use that. Let's say a simplified version of this will be looking like I don't actually use this like length. I can actually give a variable name here like length. Then my length is like alien of tuple one. Then I can specify here range of length basically. Uh, just avoid using temporary variables as much as you can. So this is how you can actually do a traversal like from 0 to length of the length minus 1 basically. If your requirement is traversing using negative index like -1, -2, -3 like that, then what you can do, see here, like now we are having 5 containers, so that this is -1, this is -2, this is -3, this is -4, and this is -5. So how do we like traverse using negative index? We can definitely, let's say for example, I'm just sorting it out like now I and here also I start for index. Now here I can specify start it from -1 and go until minus length, then -1, because if you are giving -5, it is going to print -1, -2, -3, -4. If you want like -5 as well, then it should be -6. So length is going to return my 5, minus of length is going to return -5, then -1. It is going to give -6. Then I can actually step it by -1. If I do this, then it is going to print in the reverse order. Like it is going to print like now UK, Australia, France, US, and India. Let's say let me like now change this print statement. I'm just giving like now print, and here I can give the variable name. The variable name is nothing but like now tuple one of I. I is starting with -1. Then I can specify uh, this one, the arrow mark over here. Let us see like what's going to happen here. Okay. Uh, if I'm giving this, or I can specify also like end equals to this, or you can actually just give this one. It is also going to work. I'm just giving like let's say for example end equals to this one. Okay. So now what's going to happen here is you are going to get the output like now UK, Australia, France, US, and India. Let me run this program. Let me run this program. Here you can see you are getting like the UK, Australia, France, US, and India. Okay, so this is like negative index. So we have actually traversed using for loop and using just the tuple, using like a range that is starting with 0 till the tuple, then using minus index, that is negative index, like -1 till length of the tuple -1. It is going to print in the reverse order. Let us do one thing, the same program, and we are going to do the traversal using while loop. Okay, I'm just writing a program here, new Python file, and tuple traversal using while loop. Okay, so now I'm just going to write this program using a while loop, and then we'll traverse it through. I'm just giving like now here while tuple one. It is very easy in while loop. While tuple one, I can print here right now. Print, then we are familiar with the pop method. Pop is going to pop the item from the last. Okay, let's say for example, if I'm using like tuple one dot pop, it is going to pop the last item, that is UK. Then in the second iteration, it is going to pop Australia. Third iteration, it is going to pop France. And then similarly, the last item will be like India. Until the tuple is empty, it is going to pop out. Okay. So now I'm just giving like now pop it from the tuple one dot pop. Okay, 1 minute. Tuple one dot pop. I think something is wrong over here. Let us see. If it is supported, it should not. Tuple doesn't have a pop. Okay, that's fine. So what we can actually do here is we will do it actually differently. I'm sorry about it. So now what we can actually do here is we can actually cast it, and then uh, let me do this like this one. Okay, this is actually, you can feel free to do this way, or else I can also give like this one L1 equals to, this is not a direct method guys, and if you want to actually use pop, because we do not have a pop option there in the tuple, so what we can actually do is we can definitely use it using a list casting basically, or else we can actually do it differently. I'll just tell you that, let's say while, I'm just giving it while L1, while L1 is actually nothing but the list, and that list dot pop. It is not going to, it's not going to disturb the tuple. Then it is actually going to uh, pop the items from the modified list basically here. Right now we are actually using a casting here, right? Tuple and then casting it. And I'll just let you know, like now without using that, like now how we can actually do it as well. Like here, I'm just going to specify end equals to, let's say hyphen hyphen or one hyphen on this one. Okay, so anything is fine. So now here if you see, if I'm running the program, and we can actually see it here like now UK, Australia, France, US and India. Okay, but we have casted it. And the question is, do we really need this one? We really don't need this. Okay, if your requirement is because pop is not supported, so that is the reason I have actually casted it to list and then used it. Okay, and whenever your requirement is, okay, I don't actually cast this, I want to traverse the tuple using while loop, then we can also do that. Okay, let's say for example, what we can actually do here is, let's say I equals to 0, I equals to 0, I've just given. Now while I less than length of tuple, in this case it is tuple 1, and then here I can execute like now print. Here I can execute print and then tuple 1 of I, tuple 1 of I. Now let me explain like what is going to happen here. Now I equals to 0, I less than length, definitely 0 is less than length of the tuple, and it is going to print, it is going to print, like here you can see, it is going to print the element number 0, then followed by that we need to actually increment the I value. How do we increment it? Because it doesn't support in Python, it doesn't support like another post increment and the pre increment, right? Post increment, pre decrement is not supported. We need to use a augmentation operator. Okay, so I plus equals to 1. Now, once we do this, then what's going to happen? It is going to print the tuple, and to differentiate the output or to print the output in a proper readable way, we can definitely use like end equals to in the same line. If your requirement is to print in the same line, let me put something like this. Okay, and we can actually specify like this. Now if you want to print like the end is not containing the new line, we can actually give a blank line over here. Okay, so using a print. So now see it here how it is actually working. Okay, so if I'm running this program, you can see in the second one it is actually iterating the tuple like India, US, France, Australia and UK. In the first one, it was actually traversing from the end UK, Australia, France, US, and India. Okay. So now, if you're not familiar, like now, okay, you want to actually delete it, then we cannot delete it because ideally, why we cannot actually use pop method here, I'm just going to tell you. Because tuple is immutable. That means once defined, we cannot change it. In my previous session, I was actually telling that, okay, my bad, I was actually using pop on a tuple, but tuple, we cannot actually change anything. Pop means remove the last element, like pop out and remove the last element. That is not supported, not at all supported because tuple is immutable. So now, this is how you are actually getting the output. Now, your requirement is, let's say, check like whether it has removed anything from the tuple. Ideally, it is not going to remove anything from the tuple because we cannot. So now if I'm running this program, here you can see it is India, US, France, Australia and UK is there and the tuple is intact. So we are not changing anything. So now if your requirement is you want to actually traverse it using the negative index and using a while loop, then what we can actually do here is let's say I value is 0 and then or I value is 1 I can give, and while while I can give your like now I value to -1 for example, okay, and length of this one, then I equals to I minus 1, I minus 1, I minus equals to 1, then here I can give minus of length minus 1. Okay, so now what is going to happen? Let's say I value is 1, I is minus 1 is greater than, basically greater than equals to minus of length. Until that point, what is going to happen? I think we don't need here actually. It is okay, we'll see. Okay, so now minus 1, what it is going to do is it is going to traverse it from the end. Now, what is there in our end element? The UK, Australia, France, US, and India. If I'm running this program, let us see what is going to happen here. Okay, we can do it differently as well, so don't worry about it. We can do it differently. Now, here you can see UK, Australia, France, UK, Australia, France, US, India. Okay, so it is actually working fine. If I tell like now, do we really need to actually use -1 here? The answer is no. Like what we can do is we can specify 1 here, and then we can go ahead with length of on this tuple, then +1. Okay. Instead of I here, we can give -I, and then we can definitely give I plus equals to 1. It does the same thing. It is going to do the negative traversal as well, because here we are using like now minus of I. In this case, we are actually giving like an I value is -1, then we are using just I, and then we are using minus operation here as well. But if I do this, then it is also going to do the same thing. If you look at here, it is like now going to do the same thing as well. Okay, so if you can see it here, it does the same thing like UK, Australia, France, US, and India. Okay, so now if I'm giving like now 1 here, then it is becoming -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5 and -6. Let's say for example 1. Oh, sorry, it should be less than. It did not print it actually. Okay, so now it should ideally print. Now it is actual printing. Okay, so now less than if I'm giving, it is actual printing UK, Australia, France, US, and India. Okay, this is how you can actually do the traversal using while loop. For this actually pretty much straightforward. My personal preference dealing with tuple traversal is actually for loop. Okay, so anyway, feel free to use anything as based on your requirement or based on your comfort level. You can actually use that. Okay, so that is how we can actually deal with the while loop. Now I'm just going to tell you one more traversal that is known as partial traversal, like tuple partial traversal. Okay, so partial traversal, let us see. I'm just going to use the same tuple and we'll do a partial traversal. Let's say you want every alternate item, how do we do it? And I want to actually traverse, let's say for example like this. I can give like for country name in, here I can specify tuple 1 of my requirement is start from 0. If you don't specify anything, it is actually starting from 0. Then end, and then every alternate item, it is going to give, let's say 0, then 2, then 4, and all. Okay. If you're giving this, then here you can see print, welcome, welcome to, here you can specify the variable name that is cn. So this is known as partial traversal. So based on your requirement, you can actually do like India, here India, that is 0, then to France, then UK. Okay. So now if you want to traverse it from the end, you can also do that. Okay. Let's say for example, I want to traverse it from -1, and then step is -2, step is -2, and let us see like now what is going to happen here. Okay, so now if I'm running this program, what is going to happen? It is actually printing. Okay, to differentiate, we can actually define a print of maybe a hyphen. We want to print the hyphen, let's say 50 times. Okay, so if I'm running this program, here you can see it is UK, France, and India. Okay, initially it has printed India, France, and UK. Now UK, France, and India, it does the same thing. So like negative index, but we are using like no slicing. So you can actually traverse using positive index. You can traverse using negative index. You can traverse using range. You can traverse using a for loop. You can also traverse using a while loop. You can also traverse using partial traversal, that is nothing but like the slicing. And let's say, for example, let me repeat it. Let's say else, I'm just putting it here, just make you familiar. Like now we have already gone through for else. Now here I'm just printing like print. Let us revisit how it is going to work. Okay, we are done. We are done with traversal. Okay, so now if I'm running this program, what it is going to do, else block is actually going to be executed. For loop is going to iterate the values, UK, France, and India, then it is going to print. We are done with the traversal. If I'm running this program, you can see it in the output. We are done with the traversal. So this is how we can actually traverse using a using like slice operator. So that's all about like tuple traversal. What is the next topic here? If you look at here, like this were an agenda for today. Tuple using range, traversal using slice operator. Specific section of the tuple. Actually, it's not list; it is tuple tuple, then reverse the tuple. Basically, we did that actually. Okay, let's say for example, if you want to reverse the tuple, then how do we reverse the tuple? Okay, now in the reverse order, if I want to traverse, then definitely what I can specify here is I can specify colon colon minus one, colon minus one. So if I do this, then it's going to traverse in the reverse order. Basically, here we do have UK, Australia, France, US, and India. Let me just print it. Okay, so let me just print the CN, and I'm just giving my end equals to a space, end equals to space or two spaces. Now, if I'm running this program, here you can see it is actually printing UK, Australia, France, US, and India. So this is like a reverse order. Also, we can actually traverse using colon colon minus one. Then traversal using positive index and traversal using negative index. This is all done. The next topic is we are going to learn the operations. There are four operations. We can do it on any sequence. One is concatenation, repetition or replication, then membership, then slicing. Let us go one by one. The first one is actually concatenation operator, and we'll go ahead with the concatenation operator, like how it is actually working, whether we can actually concatenate or not. Let us see whether concatenation is possible or not possible. Okay. So now let's say this is my tuple one, and I'm just going to write the program tuple, that is operation concat. I'm just giving a short name concat. Okay, that is concatenation operator. Now this is my first tuple, let's say, and I have like a tuple two. Tuple two is France, Australia, and UK. Now I have like a tuple three equals to tup one plus tup two plus tup two. Okay. Now if I'm printing like print tup one, and then if I'm giving here print up to, print up to, and then if I'm giving here print up 3, here you see like what is the result. Okay, so now this is how it is going to concatenate, guys. So this is known as concatenation operator. Concatenation, you can do it on any sequence. It can be a string, it can be a list, it can be a tuple so far. Okay, and we'll see where all it is actually supported at a later point of time. So now this is how the concatenation is actually going to work. Okay, so now this is all about the concatenation, and you can actually, it's not like you can actually concatenate only two tuples. You can concatenate like n number of tuples. Let's say for example, I do have here like tuple 4, and tuple 4 equals to I've just given here like let's say Dubai, okay, and New Zealand. Let's say I'm just giving here the some other company like German. Okay, so now here I'm just giving top 5. top 5 equals to top 1 plus top 2 plus top 3 plus top 4. This is also possible. If I give like now print top 5, it is also going to work fine. Okay, now here you can see this is how it is going to work. This is how you can actually do a concatenation. The question is like, is it like now going to concatenate the tuples having like now elements only, or it can actually concatenate nested tuples too? Let's say I have a nested tuple. Let's say I'm just giving like my country. I have let's say here India, and I'm having like let's say 150 or some bigger value over here, okay, and then there is a population. Then I can specify here, let's say here I have like the UK, the data for UK. I'm just specifying it is a smaller country. Let me actually reduce two zeros over here and then done. This is CN, and let's say I have CN2, which is France, Australia, and UK, and the numbers are not known. Let's say, for example, France doesn't have anything, Australia and UK. Now, here I have like, the CNs, country names, I'm just giving here CN1 plus CN2, that is, sorry, in CN1 we have not specified 1, that is CN plus CN2, and I'm just printing like, print country names. Now, if I'm running this program, here you can see the result. Okay, so it can concatenate anything. Okay, nested concatenation is also possible. Let's say I have a tuple, let's say CN3, and which is having nothing, a null tuple. So now here I can specify CN3. Let us see like now what is going to happen here. Okay, so CN3 is nothing. So that nothing is not added. Okay, that's null. Okay, it is possible. So any kind of operations are actually possible. The real-time example, you are actually getting the response from server 1, response from server 2. Let's say your application is actually running on various nodes, okay, and you have decided to read the responses and then store it in a tuple, basically. Like you are getting the response from server 1, server 2, server 3, server 4, and all, and then decided like, okay, you are going to store everything to a tuple. In that case, you can actually have a tuple, then have the elements, the rest, let's say for example, transactions for node basis. You have a like nested tuple, which is having like transaction details. In this case, it is having like country followed by population. You can have like server name followed by transaction counts too, which is possible. And some of the inbuilt methods, it returns like a tuple. For example, in the string manipulation, like partition returns a tuple. Similarly, as we go further, we can actually come to know like what are the methods returns tuples and how to deal with it. Okay, so these are like the basic operations, concatenation operation on tuple. Now I'm just going to tell you about the next kind of operation that is known as repetition or replication. Okay, now I'm just giving tuple operation, that is replication. Here we go. Let me copy this one. I don't actually type it again, so I'm just giving like the tuple one. I'm just giving it here. Now I'm just printing tuple one into like 5 times. Now let us see what is going to happen here. Okay, top one 5 times. You can see it is not printing tuple 5 times. The elements will be printed 5 times. India, USA, India, USA, India, USA, and all. It is not going to print. Just remember, okay. Maybe if you're actually testing your skills or like not getting in interviews or anywhere, if there is like something like if top one multiplied by this, is it going to return? Interesting fact you should actually understand here, like now if I'm giving like a top one, it is it is going to print, it is going to print like top one like this. Okay, if you are giving top one, then top one, then top one again 3 times. Okay, now in this case you can see the result, like how it is going to look like. It is going to print in the pairs, like in the brackets, like this. The first time top one, this is the second time we're printing top one, this is the third time we're actually printing top one. But whenever you are actually using the replication operator, it is going to put together all the elements in a tuple. Let's say you have decided that I have to store the information, let's say top 2 equals to top 1 into 2. So this is also possible. If I'm giving print top 2, okay, and it is going to print the element 2 times. Okay, now here India US and India US, but in only one bracket, or you can say round bracket. Okay, this is how the replication works. Now, if you have something like this, let's say for example, directly I'm using print and 3 times print up 2. Okay, 3 times print up 2. Then in this case, it is also going to print 3 times up 2. It is actually printing like now because already 2 times was there, so it is actually printing India and US 6 times. Now, if you are giving, I want to multiply, this is not supported again, guys. If I'm giving top 1 into top 2, this is not supported. Why? Because this replication operator, let us experience the error message, okay? What it is going to throw here, right? The error message over here. The replication operator requires an integer type. You can see type error cannot multiply sequence by non-int. If you are having sequence, I'm just repeating it again. Sequence is a string. Sequence is a string. Sequence is a tuple. Sequence is a list. Okay, we do have 3 major data types that is falling under sequence. So we cannot multiply sequence or replicate a sequence like 2 sequences basically. We have to have one integer and then followed by one sequence. In this case, the sequence is tuple. Now, if you are thinking like if I'm giving like tuple and tuple 1 followed by I'm just giving 2.0, like tuple is multiplied by 2 times. Let us see what is going to happen. Now, definitely we are going to get the error message. Float, we cannot actually do it. So this is the error message what we can actually get. So now, let's say you are getting the response as float and you want actually have the tuple printed. Let's say my response, we are getting like, how many times I want to print the tuple. I'm getting that value from another program, for example, and it is returning a float. What you can do is you can explicitly do a casting here, int of 2.0, and then it is definitely going to work fine. Okay, these are like the key takeaways, and we can actually use like replication operator as and when required like this. Okay, so this is known as the replication. Now, if you are giving, there is another kind of replication. Let's say, for example, I'm having India and US here in top 1. I've just given something like this, and then I'm just printing print top 1 asterisk mark 2, then asterisk mark 3. Let us see like what is going to happen. Now if I'm running this program, here you can see there is no error. So you can actually specify multiple times like this asterisk mark 2. Doesn't matter whether it is a list or a sequence or a tuple, you can replicate it. As long as these are like numbers, the program Python should actually able to interpret it nicely. Okay, so this is all about like the tuples, like how it is actually replicating based on the replication operator and the value whatever we are actually specifying. Okay, so this is known as the replication or repetition. Now the third type of operation is known as membership. So tuple operation, membership. The membership operation, we do have two things. One is in, and then the other one is not in. In and not in. This is the membership operator. Let's say I have a tuple like this. Okay, top one is this one, and I'm just giving if directly I'm writing if India is sorry in tuple one, then here I can say print welcome to India. Let's say I'm just giving here welcome to India. Else I can say print visa not approved. Okay, so now let's say this is like now let's say think about my side, like I'm having a passport and I'm having the visa to these countries, okay, and I'm just checking if I'm having a valid visa to enter to that particular country. Okay, so now here you can see if India is in tuple 1, that means in the valid list of countries where I have like now visa, and then in that case it is going to print welcome to India, otherwise it is not going to print like now, so it is going to print visa is not approved. Now here you can see the program is actually saying like welcome to India. Guys, remember the membership operators are actually case sensitive. In this case, it is going to give me visa is not approved, visa is not approved. Okay, so now if I'm running this program, it is saying like no visa is not approved. Now, how do we like now handle this? Let's say, for example, like what are the functions are actually there, whether we can actually read the element one by one and then check in any case India is present or not. So those things we'll like now learn using the tuple methods and see what are things are actually supported, what are things are actually not supported and all. Okay. So now that's all about like now in the in operator. Now if I'm giving like a not in, if I'm giving not in, let's say, for example, I'm just giving in not in, in not in tuple 1, then it is going to print like no visa is not approved, for example. So in the first part, it is going to print welcome to India. Then the second part, it is actually going to print visa is not approved. If I'm running this program, here you can see, okay, in is not in, because in this case, not in we have given, right? So it is actually there. So what I can give is I can give like the same India. So because India is there, so in this case, India is there in this list. So not in going to return false. So it is going to give us like gradual visa not approved. Now here we go, and then it is saying like no visa is not approved. So in and not in, you can use it in string, you can use it in tuple, you can use it in list as well. Okay, and there are functions available or methods available to check the specific index that India is present. What is the index? So as like in a list, we can use the methods as well. So this is like the in operations and not in operations on a tuple. There is something known as like something like this. Let's say, for example, I have like CNs, which is a blank tuple. If I'm giving like if CNS, something like this also we can do. Let's say print if CNS, then we can say tuple is not empty, else we can say tuple is empty. Print tuple is empty. Okay, so now look at here. So this kind of comparison also you can actually do. Here you can see tuple is empty because the CNS is actually empty tuple. But whenever you want, let's say for example, you are getting a tuple from another method output or a return value of a method, particular method, then we are going to learn about like the return values in the functions and maybe sometime next week, and then you can actually come to know like how it is working and all. So now if you are actually trying to execute this program and then see, let's say for example in this case tuple is there, before you proceed further, let's say before you check the conditions or before you iterate, you want to check if there are any elements blindly, like no, don't try to loop. First, use a if condition and check if the values are actually there or not. Okay, and then handle it programmatically. If it should not be empty, then you can actually handle programmatically. And if it is should be empty, you can also handle it programmatically. So using this, okay. So this is how we can actually do the membership operation. Now the last operation is known as slicing operation. The Python file. Here I'm just giving tuple operation slice. Okay, slice we have already gone through it, I'm just going to give a quick example on slicing. We'll revisit like now how it is working and all. So let's say in this case, I'm giving like a print tuple one of that is tuple one of. I'm just giving here let's say colon colon two. Step is two. Now here you see the result. Let's say it is India, France, and UK. Now, if you want like that's a position number 2 to 5 or 2 to 4, you can specify like this. It is going to print like 2 to 4. So 2 to 2 3 4 it is not going to print. So it will be 0 1 to 2 is France, and it is going to print France and Australia. Okay, so now this is how it is actually going to print France and Australia. If you want, let's say something like this, if you are giving colon colon colon, what is going to happen? Let's say colon colon, what is going to happen here? Okay, now here you can see it is printing the complete tuple. Okay, and if you are maintaining any program and you see someone has actually mentioned this, that means they are actually going to explicitly telling it is the entire tuple. You give double colon or colon, it is going to do the same thing. If you are giving like double colon then minus one, then it is actually going to print the tuple in the reverse order, the entire tuple. If you are giving the tuple with let's say I'm just giving like start with minus one and then end at minus 3 or minus 4 and step is minus 1, then here you can see this is also supported UK, Australia and France. So and whenever you see, let's say for example something like this print, let me copy paste it again, and if you're giving like colon colon or colon then minus 1 colon then minus 1. Let us see like now what it is going to do. Now here you see it is printing India, US, France and Australia. India, US, France and Australia because you are specifying till minus 1. It is not going to use this. So these are, I have seen like in our programs where multiple types of slicing is actually used. So unless you are familiar with the slicing, you will not able to understand anything out of here, okay? So now this is like the concatenation operator, replace, repetition and replication, membership and slicing. So the traversal and as well as the operations on a tuple is done. The next topic we are actually going to learn again into the 45 minute session, maybe a little more than 45 minute session to understand what are the methods are actually available for tuple. Just giving a quick hint. Okay, so now if you give like a tuple one dot, then you can see what are the methods are actually available. You can see index is available, count is available, length is not specific to tuple. Length we can actually use to get any length. Okay, so now here you can see there are many other things are actually available, and we are going to learn about because tuple is immutable. So most of the operations, whatever we have actually learned through learn in section of list, right? It will not be available by default because tuple is a read-only, you can say, right? Tuple immutable read-only copy. So we cannot actually do any write operations like append, insert, extend. All these operations are actually not supported. And similarly, pop is not supported, and index is there, count is there, and we'll go through like how to sort it, how to reverse it, and all these things. Okay, in our upcoming session. And thank you guys, and we are done for today.